I'm 30 years old and my family wasn't really Christian or atheist until I went through this. I think we believe in a higher power but never mention who or what could be higher than power. Except for Christmas, we go to church. We rarely go to any church, nor do we celebrate any religious festivals. Christmas is the day we receive gifts. I tell you this so you can understand that in my dying experience, I really had no idea what was going to happen. But I'm a firm believer in this. Good people go to heaven and bad people get burned in hell, but I can't tell you anything about the Bible or Jesus or God because those things don't come up often at home. Go back to 4 years ago. I got married, my wife is a devout Christian, and soon we had our baby, and she took the baby to church every Sunday. She also tried everything she could to get me to go to church with them, but it didn't work out at the time. She would read the Bible every night and pray before meals and before bed, which seems odd to me, but it's not worth fighting for. Everyone has their own beliefs, and I respect her beliefs very much. Christmas is coming this year. I am going to buy gifts for my family. I am going to drive alone to buy gifts. Obviously, I buy gifts for her. When she can't be with me. I also can't take the kids with me because no kid can keep a secret very well, at least not me. The traffic at Christmas is congested. It seems that everyone has the same idea. All I can do is wait patiently. Although the road is very congested, in order to cross the congested road as soon as possible, everyone will speed up when they can. At an intersection, just as I was about to pass the intersection, I heard the screeching sound of tires. I was dazzled by the glare of the headlights of an oncoming car, then a ram that spun my car, followed by another, and then his car came to a sudden stop. The impact was so violent that I passed out, and I still remember a guy running up to my window and saying something I couldn't hear because my ears were ringing and my window was thrown open. The man opened my door and told me not to move. The ambulance was already on its way. I can't remember how long it took the ambulance to arrive, but they took me out of the car and into the ambulance where they started rescuing me. I said I'm fine, I don't need to stay here. A police officer was there too, and he persuaded me to drive to the hospital just in case. After assuring me that he would notify my wife, I relented and let the paramedics do their job. In the hospital, I learned that it was the driver who answered the phone while driving and running a red light. The second hit was the vehicle behind me. I didn't avoid the rear-end collision caused by the car on time. Everyone survived. The driver who answered the phone was killed. A fine was issued. And before the economic loss in the accident, the doctor in the emergency room checked me, and if there was no serious problem, they told me to go home, told me to see my doctor when needed, and prescribed me some pain medication to relieve possible pain, and when I got home, I started having a headache, kind of like a migraine, so I took 2 pain medication and got ready to go to bed. After a while, I fell asleep. I don't know how long I slept, but suddenly I was hovering over my body. Weird is the only word I can use to describe it if you've never experienced it. I found that I could walk around freely, get out of body, through the bedroom walls, down the hallway to the kids' bedrooms, and check on them. Then I went back to my bedroom and tried to get myself back into my body, but no matter how hard I tried to get into it, I ended up failing, and it was fun at first, but now I'm starting to get scared, thinking, God, what should I do? That's when I noticed the tunnel for the first time and started to feel like I was floating in it. As I drifted towards my destination, there seemed to be a kind of heavenly music emanating from the walls of the tunnel. After a while, I came to the end of the tunnel, which led to a garden full of the brightest flowers I had ever seen. There are flowers that don't exist on earth. And there is a faint white light around the petals that I want to touch, but I don't want to hurt, and a cobblestone path winds its way through the garden. In the distance, I saw many buildings. They were very tall and imposing, with very high columns. I couldn't tell how high because it was so high, as you would expect to see in ancient Rome. But higher than that, I started walking towards those buildings. At this point, a woman came slowly towards me. "Is this heaven?" I asked. She smiled and said, "No, it's not heaven, but the Creator brought you here to tell you that there is an eternal life that awaits those who are faithful. You're just visiting, and when we're done, you'll return to your earth body. Do you have anything else to show me?" As soon as I asked this question, knowledge flooded into my brain like a flood. Suddenly, I understood the answer to a question I didn't want to ask. The universe is so huge, but at the same time, it's like a drop of water in the ocean. I understood that creation is known from beginning to end. After a while, she looked at me and said, "It's almost time for you to leave us. Will I remember everything?" I asked. She smiled and said, "No, the human brain does not have such memory, but you will remember the most important details, that God is real and His plans are much greater than you can imagine, so keep the faith and know that you are loved." That's how I went back to my body in peace, and I later told my wife about it, and to my surprise she didn't act surprised, as if she had been through it too. It all felt taken for granted. Things are now slowly starting to change. I go to church every Sunday with my wife, and I start to pray. Years later, looking back on it, I'm still not sure if it was real or a dream, but I stick to being a good person. I know I'll go back to that place one day, that place that makes me so nostalgic, a place that makes me happy and fulfilled.